will release them when we will release them according to our constitution and the laws. And this should be very clear. People have been mounting very high pressure on His Excellency the President, requesting him to violate the constitution and the law, appealing to him so that he violates the constitution and the law, so that these very important people are released, because they are very important, and without them there is no South. There is nobody who is not important in South Sudan. Everybody is important, but if you are in conflict with the law, you must be brought to the books, irrespective of whoever you are. This must be made very clear. So those who come and mount high pressures on us to violate our own laws are the very people who will turn back tomorrow and say, see, these people, they are fond of violating their own constitution and the law. We will not allow that to happen. We will not be carried or pushed into that corner. We will respect our laws, we will respect our constitution, and without this, this is why we are. We are here because of the constitution and the laws. And if we don't respect this constitution and the laws, then what are we doing? So there is no question of us releasing these people, except according to the law. People have been pressing on us. Why, when is the investigation finishing? The investigation cannot finish within a day and a night. It is not an event. It is a process. And if it is a process, then you don't expect a process. You don't give time frame for the process. You do it according to that law. This is what we are, and this is where we are. Yes, I'm informed that the investigation is over. But that is not the end of the road. Because after investigation, definitely people will go somewhere. This is the most important part of the agreement on the status of detainees. There are people who have been referring to these accused persons as detainees, as political detainees. They are not political detainees, and here in the South, we have no political detainees. What we have in the prisons are criminals who are charged. And it is the court that will determine their fate. If they are acquitted by the court, then they are free citizens. If they are convicted by the court, then they must face it. And thereafter, it is within the competence of the president to pardon whoever he wants. There is no way that the president can move in now and say, Kalas, I'm releasing these people. He will be in violation of our constitution and our laws. It is only after investigation and trial that those convicts may be pardoned. Not that only, but there are people who come and say, why don't you release them now, and then later you rearrest them. They why release them? We are in crisis anyway. These are the two documents that we signed in Addis, and I'm sure with these documents will at least enable us to cease the hostilities. It is unfortunate, and this is what was stated by our chief negotiator in his remarks that day. It is unfortunate that the rebels have no central command. The chief of rebels is unable to control his rebels. He's unable to control them because they are not a regular army. And this is why they are continuing killing our people, looting properties, destroying properties, and so forth. Because they are an irregular army. And the commander, after having fully agitated them properly, he is now unable to control them. So in practice, in fact, there is no cessation of hostilities on the other side. And as a result, our forces are falling victims of that situation now. Because the rebels are attacking them every now and then, and our forces are there just to defend themselves. They have been given clear orders not to attack. And because they are a disciplined army, they are not attacking, but all the time defending themselves. We need to expedite the establishment of the monitoring mechanism so that we control this uncontrollable force. As for the role of or the position of the SPLM as we see it, on how best do we address this situation, I think the most appropriate will be to know from them what is the root cause of this crisis. Because up to now, it is not clear to us. Last time, they told us that it was an SPLM issue. If it is an SPLM issue, then we come and sit inside our house and discuss them. But if it is a rebellion, then we need to sit with them as a government and rebels so that we agree on the issues. But up to now, it is not clear, because after all, if the dispute was over power struggle within the party, then you don't take the party over by force. You don't use force in order to climb the leadership of the party. There are mechanisms for following, and as I stated earlier, if they were to wait for March and then campaign well, the rebel leader could have been the chairman if he were to persuade the members. Instead of becoming a rebel leader, he would have been a legal leader of a political party. But he has chosen to be a rebel leader because he believes that is the shortest cut that will take him that way. He still believes in the language of the bullet, not in the language of the ballot. That is not acceptable for us. We will wait and hear from them. If it is a political problem within the SPLM, then we will address it within the SPLM. Even our brothers here, those of Dr. Lem and Joseph Okel, who were in the peace talks with us, with whom we negotiated the cessation of hostilities, if it turns out that it was an SPLM issue, they will not even be there next time. Because we will have to sit with them now as SPLM. And if necessity requires, then we may invite a friendly political party to come and assist us. Otherwise, if they insist that yes, theirs was a coup d'etat that failed, and it has now become a rebellion, there is no way we can talk. There is no way we can make it a political party issue, but we will have to talk with them as rebels. Then we will listen to them if they have any good reasons at all to justify their rebellion. Master of Ceremony, I think that is time has gone. I thank you very much. If there are any inquiries later or anything, then we'll be out to answer. Thank you very much.
Master of Ceremonies, the organizers of this gathering, thank you very much for affording us the opportunity to be able to explain some of the things that took place in Addis Ababa. First of all, I greet all the audience, brothers and sisters who are here, for honoring the discussion. Brother McQuay has explained sufficiently the agreements. Actually, should have been one agreement, but I will comment later on why there had to be another document called an agreement. In the first place, I have to explain as to why the leader of opposition in the country was in the delegation. Because some people, the matter is not clear to them. Of course, what happened on the 15th of December and the scale of loss of lives, displacement, and destruction of property shocked everybody inside the country, in the region, and internationally. And it pricked the conscience of all of us, and everybody was in a rush to try to find a way of stopping this carnage and death of people. And therefore, we as political parties, and I'm glad you are still holding together as political parties, we met the president on the 31st of December, as already mentioned, and discussed with him. We met alone, and then we met with him to discuss with him the tragedy that is befalling the country. We call it a crisis. It is a crisis that was on a national level and therefore demanded a national solution. Yes, the issue started as a problem within the SPLM. Actually, even within the SPLM, it was a power struggle. But it went beyond the confines of the party and involved the destruction of life all over the country, and therefore everybody is concerned. You know, even on a human basis, a family level, if a particular house has problems and the voices go beyond the walls and it is heard by the neighbors, they will never keep quiet. They will try to come and persuade those people to try to contain the issue. So we as political parties thought that it is our national responsibility to be able to help in how to bring to an end the fighting that was going on between brothers. And as a result, we issued that statement, which was read partially before by one of the organizers of this gathering. Then on the 1st of January, when the president called upon the political parties and his government together in a joint meeting, and he chose the delegation, he chose 2 from the political parties to be part of the delegation. So it became a delegation of the Republic of South Sudan. And this is how we went to Addis Ababa to negotiate with the rebel on that basis that we needed to bring an end to this conflict. In any multi-party system, in any democratic setup, the political parties are actually the spirit of the people. And this is why when you talk of political parties act as a way of organizing how the people can organize themselves. So there is no question as to our claim as political parties to represent our people. And on that basis, the onus of resolving this issue falls on us. So that is how my poor self and Mr. Joseph Okel were in that delegation. And I must say that everything that McQuay said was a joint position of all of us. So I don't need to add more. I will only maybe touch a point or two by way of adding emphasis, not adding information. When we went, actually the matter was very clear to us that the crisis that has befallen the country needs a solution that is sustainable. We are not out for quick fixes, because always in such crises, people tend to look for quick fixes in order to stop the war and then go for a while, and because we did not address the root causes, the war breaks out again, maybe in a bigger scale. So that was not our intention. Our intention was to stop the war first, so that you have a conducive atmosphere for the discussion of the political issues that are behind the conflict. And the people to do it are the people of South Sudan, not anybody else. Yes, we can accept help, as indeed, as I said, when these things happen, everybody came in an attempt to try to help us get out of the problem. You saw the ministers, the foreign ministers of IGAD, they came almost 2 days after the event. You saw the two presidents of the president of Kenya and the prime minister of Ethiopia. They came the day after, and many envoys came, special envoys of South Sudan. They came also in attempts to try to solve the problem. But always, if you prescribe the wrong medicine, you get the opposite result of what you intend to do, as it has happened, as I will explain later on. My comment about the cessation of hostilities, by way of emphasis, is that, in fact, we had anticipated that if you don't have a monitoring mechanism, it is difficult to hold the parties to the agreement. We thought that the agreement should come into effect as soon as the Joint Technical Committee is formed and it forms the monitoring and verification mechanisms, because those are the means by which the IGAD countries and the parties can enforce the implementation of the agreement. The leaders of the parties, the IGAD mediators, thought otherwise. And they insisted. Maybe they thought that the government was not serious about arriving at a ceasefire. They insisted that the agreement should come into force 24 hours from signature. And that is why it was signed without people first arriving at the mechanism that will verify the implementation of the agreement. And that's why today there are violations, and nobody will tell, who did what, because as long as there is no referee, if somebody takes the ball to the goal, nobody will catch him, because the referee is not there. Yes, goodwill was counted on, but not everybody has goodwill, you see. So that is a very important point, so that, because, repeated violations can create doubts as to the importance or to the significance of the agreement. And that this is what we didn't want from the beginning. That if also another reason is the fear of being caught is always a deterrent. If somebody wants to do something and he knows that he may be caught, he will be hesitant to do that thing. But if he knows that he will not be caught, he will definitely do it with impunity. So that is the little comment I wanted to add as far as the cessation of hostilities agreement is concerned. I want to say, or at least I want to take some time talking about the other agreement between courts. As I said, if I have a problem and my friends come to help me, I will always be grateful. I don't think there's anybody who will not be happy when his friends or her friends come to his rescue when he's in problem. So we do appreciate all who came to the assistance of South Sudan when this crisis befell us. But it is my belief that the best way to help is to try to find out what kind of help is needed. It is not you to dictate to the party concerned what to do. Otherwise, it becomes something different. It will not be a kind of assistance. The diagnosis of the problem is with us, and we are all agreed. Even the SPLM did not dispute the fact that the issue started within its house. All of us political parties, we agree that the problem is started within the SPLM. So there's no doubt about that. We are even agreed that the solution of the problem was attempted by the SPLM, but some parties didn't accept the particular solution. And this is why things happened the way they did. So we are agreed as political parties that what we need to start with is to stop the war so that the unnecessary killing stops, and we allow the relief agencies to take relief to the needy population, either those who have been displaced from their position or those who have been made unable to go about with their normal life that can keep them getting their own food. But we are told that the first thing is the release of the political detainees. And having been in Addis Ababa, I can risk to say that we spent 24 days, simply because there was insistence that the first issue should be the release of political detainees. And we are being told by the people who call themselves our friends. Let us remind ourselves that the basis of the talks is the communique of IGAD. the communique that was issued on the 27th of December by the 23rd session or extraordinary session of the heads of state and government of IGAD. And that communique also dealt with the issue of detainees, among others. And what they said is that that particular issue should be handled within the constitution and the laws of South Sudan. So the right place to do it is in Juba. The legal organs of the government are the ones to handle this problem. We do not see where the delegation comes in, because the delegation is there to discuss how to stop the fighting. The delegation does not take over the powers of the government. You see? Hence, why delay the process? Yes, somebody will say, but the rebels said that one of their demands was to release the detainees. But then we engaged them in discussion, because yes, you wanted detainees to be released. Okay. To do what? Is it not to contribute like other South Sudanese in the process? So if we don't stop the fighting, how will anybody else, leave alone those who are under detention and who the process is still going on, how will they be able to help in the process? So there were a lot of shuttling between Addis and here. And then we wait for what will be said in Juba. After it is said in Juba, we are also told there that you have to do this, you have to do that. So that was the difficulty. At one point, we were told that the detainees themselves, because those people who come here, they go and meet the detainees have said that they don't want their case to be used as an impediment to reaching a cessation of hostilities agreement. I think this was read by all of us. So we got the hope that now that issue will be set aside and we'll begin to discuss the other matters. And at that point, the rebel delegation, I think, dropped the issue of these detainees, except through the pressure that continued from the friends of South Sudan, that this must be what should be done. Even actually, we even agreed on the cessation of hostilities a week before the agreement, before the actual signature. But then we are always reminded that let us have something about the detainees. Actually, how this document came about, it was after we agreed on the cessation of hostilities. Then the mediators asked us to drop about half a page just to acknowledge that the government is committed to following the legal procedures to deal with the issue of the detainees. This is a paper we were asked to write. My colleagues are here. And we delivered that document to the mediators. To be surprised, 2 days after, with a very elaborate document talking about the important role of the detainees, the vital role of the detainees, and that they must participate. First, they must be released. Secondly, because of their important role, because of their vital role, they must be part of the process of negotiation. This is how this came about. We have to take away most of this. You are not getting it in this document because we did not accept such terminology. As the minister said before, any South Sudanese is important. Because some of them even said, you know, the South cannot exist without the detainees. So we said, yes, everybody is important, but there is a process of doing things. If the issue is the detainees, then our priorities are reversed, because we are more concerned about the people who die daily, and already thousands have died. The people who die daily, this is our concern. We must stop this death, and we must stop the displacement. Even the same people have figures that the displacement now is almost approaching 500,000 displaced people. It is not our concern. The first concern for us as people who are, you know, concerned about humanity. So we thank everybody who wants to help us. We thank people who stood with us in our difficult times. We are very grateful to them. But they should also understand, because there are some who say they are the one who brought about South Sudan, who did what? South Sudan came about as a result of a struggle of its people who sacrificed for more than half a century. The people who voted, you know, in a referendum, getting a percentage more than 98%. These are the people who brought about South Sudan, not anybody else. But anybody else who has helped us, we are happy, we are grateful to what they did. But let us remember, we fought for the sovereignty. We fought to be a sovereign state, to be a country among nations of the world. And therefore, everybody must respect our independence to take our own decisions regarding our issues. But the door remains open. The door remains open for people to assist in any way possible. So we as South Sudanese, as political parties, must continue to be together. I am happy that you continue to be working together, and this gathering is one example of this solidarity. We must show to the world that we are united in seeing that this crisis that has befallen us comes to an end as soon as possible.